going on, everybody? Rob here, Trev2323, TREV2323. You see I'm in my Sunday finest here, and with my friend Mercedes, and yes, she's a Mercedes. She's not one of those people that are Mercedes that look like a Buick. Okay, she looks like a Mercedes. And she's a realtor over here in Chicago, well, Illinois, right?
Illinois and Indiana.
Illinois and Indiana. All of Indiana, or you just focus on Northwest Indiana?
Majority Northwest Indiana, but I can go out to, as far as Porter County, all of that. So.
So it's all over, and she does work with some big homes. I've seen these homes that she had and the pictures and everything, and they look amazing. But what I wanted to talk with her about was like a lot of these first-time home buyers, because I have a passion for people getting out of apartments, getting out of something that you're going to pay your whole life for and not have anything at the end. I tell everybody, it says, when you're ready to retire, you want a paid-off house. Yes. Because guess what? Rent is always going to go up, and when you retire, your checks are going to go smaller. So how are you going to be able to afford that? And it takes on average 30 years to buy a home. You probably know tricks to pay it off sooner.
Yes.
There's always tricks to pay it off sooner, but in the same, we were just talking a little bit ahead of time, and she was telling me Illinois changed some laws on the loans that they have.
Student loans for people. So if you, for instance, myself, who thought that corporate America was going to be the thing for me and went on to do 2 masters, I ended up with quite a bit in student loans. And what happens is now they take 1% of the balance of your student loan. That's what you pay per month. They consider it your payment per month, and it goes against your debt to income ratio. So unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there who run into that situation, and it throws the debt to income ratio off, and then they're not able to purchase because they basically look on paper like they can't afford the loan.
And I'm one person that says with student loans and going to college, if you're going to go to college, commit. I mean, people say, well, don't go to the military. I'm an advocate of the military if you don't have anything after high school. At least you got a roof over your head and your own income, and you can retire from that. But also with trades, I tell people start an apprenticeship program. A lot of trades have fallen off. A lot of the baby boomers are retiring where there's trades to go and where you don't have to take those big student loans. Now, with the starter home, how would somebody that they're in their apartment, I mean, what's like a 3% down? What would it go off of? Like the cost of the house, or
the price of the home?
And 3% would be considered FHA, or
there is conventional loans out there now too that you can do 3% on. It just depends on what lender you go with. We have an array of different lenders that I work with, everywhere from First Savings Bank of Hegewisch to Top Flight to People's Home Equity, Guaranteed Rate, Leader One. I mean, there's an array of, and of course, differences. You have brokers that are actual mortgage brokers versus those that are lenders out of an actual bank. So you also have to look at that, because brokers tend to be a little bit more lenient on what they can work with. I mean, sometimes credit scores a little bit lower than what the norm is. But for anybody out there who's trying to, number one, look at their credit, because that's going to be your first thing, a lot of the banks look for 620 and above. Some brokers might be able to do 580, 550, but also depends on your income.
Okay.
And then, like we said, FHA, there's 3%, 3.5% down FHA. Conventional norm was 5%, and conventional gives you a little bit more leeway. Like, say for instance, if you're buying a second home and it needs repairs, you can go ahead and probably get away with a little bit of that, where it doesn't have to have everything fixed before you close. Or if it's FHA, everything has to be up to code, fixed.
Yeah. That's why I tell everybody, if you're selling your home, sell that sucker conventional. I hate to say it, but you limit your market, but you don't need all the repairs up to par. And I had a friend that sold a home. She was an older senior citizen, single, and she sold it, and she listed it at FHA, and they came in, and she had so much repair she had to do to the house before she sold it. So I said, if I ever sell my home, I'm selling it just conventional. But I didn't know that you could go 3% on some of them. But you said 620 is normally the lowest credit score?
The lowest credit score that you can have, like especially with banks like Chase and Wells Fargo and all of that. 620 is going to be your starting point.
Now, is there any way somebody could check their credit score without actually having to pull that it counts against them?
Well, this is the thing. Credit Karma's out there, freeannualcreditreport.com. There's various programs that are free, but the way that the score is figured is different than what the lenders do. So lenders do an average of it. So maybe, for instance, I had a client who Credit Karma, her score was 540, and she's like, oh my god, I'm not going to make it for it. But when they did it combined, she actually came out like 580, a little bit higher. And it could be vice versa. It could be where you think you're 620, 640, but that combination only comes up to like a 580, 600.
Okay.
So definitely when it comes down to it, you want to at least feel when you basically just ranging, watching those scores on your own, where if you're like, okay, I'm 620, 640, I think I'm ready, go ahead and have the one lender that you think you're going to work with, which, I don't mind. I always have people calling me to ask for advice with regards to what lenders they can go with, depending on their situation, because everybody's situation is different. But once you feel that you're just about in that range, not only that, have the money in the bank.
Okay.
Because a lot of people don't realize that when you go to purchase a home, not only do you need pre-approval from a lender or a bank, you need to go ahead and have that $1,000 to $2,500 of earnest money, which is the good faith offer that you make with your offer, to go ahead and put down. And it's credited back to you at closing, goes towards your down payment, but then you're going to have to make sure you have that 3.5 to 5% in the bank along with any closing costs.
Now, 3.5 of $1,000 home would be $3,500.
Yes.
So $3,500 on a $1,000 home if you're going FHA. $5,000 if you're going conventional for a $100,000 home. Now, are there still a lot of homes under $100,000 on the market, or?
Right now, in all honesty, your true fixer-uppers that probably need some, we'll say a lot of TLC, not just some, but in actuality, the market is pretty good right now, where it's getting to that point where it basically is a seller's market right now. So if someone really did want to sell their home, even though, like you said, probably the best way to go conventional, if your house is up to code and the roof is good, we're talking roof less than 10 years, electrical's up to code, plumbing's up to code, you don't have major holes in the wall, no major peeling paint, because those are the things that FHA will look for, GFCI sockets throughout the house, you basically can go FHA, and it would be something that would be a quicker thing for you if you're in that. Now, if you have a home that, you haven't been able to do anything to.
Like it's a 110-year-old house, like this one right here?
Yeah, electrical is probably not, up to code, or, just a lot of people look for central air, because now, of course, not only is it the baby boomers retiring, but now you have where everybody who filed bankruptcy back in 2008 with the crash are coming out of the bankruptcies. So now you have everybody who's able to qualify for a loan. And it's that double effect where you have the baby boomers retiring, moving to something smaller or moving away. Now you have the ones who are coming out of the trouble, the financial issues that they had back then, and now can go ahead and apply for a loan. So you have everybody just, shuffling to move. Then, of course, you have difference in taxes. Illinois is one tax bracket. Indiana's another tax bracket for homes.
Yeah.
So in Indiana, even those fixer-uppers, you have bidding wars going on.
Yeah, well, right now in Chicago, the taxes are going up. A lot of people are leaving Chicago because the taxes are getting outrageous here in Chicago, because they got to pay all these pensions, and Chicago has to pre-fund the pension. So it's getting steep over here in Chicago. Mm-hmm. But, okay, so now with the people that want to sell their houses, what's the first step that they're gonna, if say, okay, I want to sell my house, next week we're thinking about starting to sell our house. Do we go to a realtor first to get an idea? Because a lot of people think, well, hey, I know my house is worth $300,000 because the guy down the block sold his for $300,000, although I didn't go in there. So do I go to a realtor first, or do I say, oh, well, I gotta paint all this first and I gotta do all this first? What do I do first if I want to sell?
Well, in actuality, I think it is probably better to reach out to a realtor, because we as realtors can do what's called a market value analysis for you. It's a comparison. And so we'll go ahead and take your home and say if you have 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, a detached garage, central air, no central air, and we compare it to all the homes in the area around you that have sold within the last anywhere from 6 months to 18 months. And we're able to give you a good range of what your home value would be on the market. Then we can walk through the home with you and say, now be careful, because you don't want anybody recommending to you to rip out your kitchen and give you a whole new kitchen remodel and you're going to get back tons of money on it. That doesn't work that way. Anybody that does put work into it, the average that you're going to get back is about 30%. Like if you were to go ahead and remodel that kitchen, we're looking at about a 30% return on it.
Why'd you got to go that way like that for my kitchen?
No.
I'm kidding.
I've heard about your kitchen, only kidding. But in bathrooms, which, key things, kitchen and bathrooms do attract, especially us women as wives and so forth. That's our big thing. Some of the bigger things that you get a return on, windows, roofs, things like that. But it's a matter, do you really need it? Do we think that it really would sell without major, overhaul of your home? Because you don't want to pay out too much into it and then make it where it's to your liking. But the person who's going to purchase the home after you is going to come in and probably repaint and do things and might change out those granite tops that you thought were the bomb at that particular time and not want that.
I had a guy couple houses down that way, and the guy did the house top to bottom before he sold. I went through, he took me and looked at everything I did. I mean, it was immaculate. And you know that the people that bought it paid top end for the house and had like half the house gutted to redo it. I could not believe, and this guy just had all this done, so he shelled out all that money, and they would have probably gave him a fair price without having to put all that work into it.
So that's where like I tell people, and our comparisons, well, for me, I do mine, they're free. Where if you go to an appraiser,
they're free.
You can go ahead and, you know, that's sitting down with you and going through the actual consultation and walking through the home. Those things are free. So it's not something that I say, oh my God, you got to pay. No. Now if it comes down to an appraiser, you can go anywhere from $250 to $500 on your own if you like to even appraise your home out on your own prior. Because then what happens is you have that appraisal in hand, and if someone does really truly want to lowball you, you know what you really can get on the market for your home, and you have that in your hand already. If someone wants to give you a crazy $20,000 to $30,000 less offer, you have something to kind of come back at them with. But ultimately, in the end, whoever their lender is on the buying side for your home, they're going to do their appraisal. Their appraisal is what's going to be the ultimate decision as to what they feel the value of the home is and what they'll lend their borrower for it.
Okay, all right. And another thing I want to say, about the appraisals, you know what show drove me nuts? It really did. I really hated it. Was that Homes on Homes? Do you ever watch it?
Not the Homes on Homes, but I am an HGTV junkie.
Okay, well, Homes on Homes, the guy would go in and they said, well, we had our house appraised, and then he would say, well, I went in and I found this wrong and this wrong and this wrong. But he goes in and he like cuts a hole in the drywall and looks in the wiring behind the drywall. Your average appraiser is not going to go in like a Homes on Homes and pull off drywall, cut holes in it to see what he can find behind it. The average appraiser is going to go in and look at the GFIs, he's going to look at the windows, he's going to look at what he can see without having to tear anything up. So don't think that you're going to pull Homes and Homes afterward and then you can sue that appraiser, because Homes on Homes, that's why it would drive me nuts. He would talk such bad about these appraisers. Well, they didn't catch this and they didn't catch that. Well, dude, he didn't cut holes in the walls.
Exactly.
They go what they can see, to have flashlights to go in the basement, and if there's exposed wires, they could see that, but they're not supposed to rip down drywall to look at what's behind that. And they got testers to check for the negative and what's ground and all that. They can do, to a point, a good appraisal.
Yes.
You know, and really they're not there. They're there to let you know what's wrong with the house, but they're not there kind of to kill the deal, I guess you could say. A lot of people say, well, they're going to find this, they're going to find that. No, they're going to let you know what the house needs. They don't want to kill the deal. And then you got a kind of a bargaining chip also on the other end that say, okay, well, we do need to replace my 2 attic windows. I got kids, I got bedrooms up there. Guess what? Brand new windows, and each of them got a hairline crack on both sides. So and guess what? The appraiser will catch that, you know? So I do know that aspect of it.
So not only your inspector will catch that, but if you go FHA, the FHA appraiser will catch the cracked windows. And then they'll list that out as something that needs to be repaired.
Okay.
So that's where you kind of, also conventional versus FHA is a big difference, because conventional, they might mention it, but if your buyer wants to fix it and still wants to home because it's got good bones, it's the area and that's what they really want, then it's their choice. But you're right, your inspector should never come on in and make holes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing, it's a reality show. And that's why, like, I tell clients who, I want to start flipping homes, and what do I need to do? And I want to start, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not like HGTV. It's not going to happen in 2 weeks for this home. You can take it apart and put it back together again. When you buy a home, another thing is I have clients who, this home is as is. Yeah. And it means as is. You can't ask for anything, can't fix anything. You know, they will not do anything. It is as is. You see that, if you don't want an as is home and you see that in the listing, stay away from it, because it's as is. And what happens is then you take on this home, and it's up to you if you want to take on the surprises of maybe there's a cracked, plug.
Now those are normally conventional, right?
You can do conventional.
No, but they probably won't go FHA if they're as is?
No. FHA will not do as is, because if there's something wrong with the roof, peeling paint, they find that the plumbing has some type of weird line or something going on, electrical box maybe is out of code. Those are things that FHA would require repaired prior, and as is means as is.
Now this is one thing that's near and dear to my heart too, because I'm a veteran and I got my honorable discharge from the military, and I bought my house with my VA loan.
Yes.
So with the VA loan, when I bought my house, I put $1,200 down, and I was able to get my house. Walked through the doors with $1,200.
Now, and that's the thing is also with lenders. There are VA loans out there, which are great because I have dealt with a couple of veterans, which thank you everybody for your service. Appreciate that. And it depends on the lender, how it works, but ultimately the government will say, this is the guideline, this is how much they can put down. I had one gentleman who nothing down.
Wow.
With VA.
Wow.
But also there's lots of things that come into play, and I don't know if maybe in the future we can touch upon different topics. We can go ahead and meet and go over different things that would help out, our viewers, things like that. But he got tax credits back. So for instance, when you purchase a home, whoever has that home prior, they're responsible for paying the taxes up to the date of closing. So you might have a hefty credit coming back to you in tax credits that helps balance out, where all of a sudden that down payment you thought you were going to have to bring in $9,000-$10,000 comes down to like $7,000. You're like, whoa, what happened? Well, you have a tax credit because now that has to be paid out.
Okay, and one thing that I don't know if Chicago veterans know, and I don't know what it is for Indiana, but for Illinois, if you're a veteran, at 30%, you get a certain tax break on your property taxes. At 70%, you get another property tax break on your taxes, and if you're a 100% disabled veteran, you don't have to pay any property taxes in Illinois. But you have to file for an exemption every year. Now I know Indiana offers the exemptions, but Indiana's exemptions ain't as high as Illinois' exemptions.
Well, and then like I said, we have to take into consideration Indiana's tax bracket for homes is way less than Illinois. I mean, you could pay for almost a 2,000 square foot home, depending on what city you go to in Indiana. Like say right over the border in Hammond, you could probably pay anywhere from $1,800 to $2,000, where out here you're paying anywhere from $3,000 to $7,000. So it all depends, and that's where they say, okay, well, we've given you a break in the overall taxes, where they won't give as much break in other aspects. But Illinois, I mean.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that keeps me in Illinois is because I'm a veteran. Other than that, I would have moved to Indiana a while back. All right, now, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, how would they get in touch with you?
Oh, you definitely can give me a call, 773-780-9602. I'm with Keller Williams in Northwest Indiana, but again, I'm in Illinois and Indiana, and then I also speak Spanish, so si puedo hablar español, si necesitan ayuda en español. The other thing is you can also reach me via email if that's easier, and it's Mercedes, just like the car spelled, realtyinc@gmail.com.
Okay, and so you're at Keller Williams? Okay, Keller Williams. I'll probably put a link to your email and everything on it. But this is something that we wanted to do because it's near and dear to my heart that everybody owns a home. I mean, at my job, I'm walking around a lot of houses, and believe it or not, I've seen like a couple about 70 years old looking at apartments still. And to think a couple at 70 years old trying to move from one apartment to another, and I've seen this more than once. I know somebody right now that can't afford their house rent and they're ready to retire. So they're looking, I mean, you can't retire because your house isn't paid off. If you just had property taxes and insurance when you retire, so do it now. Get your properties now. All right? Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Bye.